all week. It's been a busy, packed Super Bowl week, but we got the legend, especially from the home team. You can catch him always on the Bills, One Bills Live, right in our market, Mr. Greg Cosell. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Can't complain. We got Pastor Nate in the building, and we got so obviously, great time here in the Super Bowl time. How you been enjoying Vegas?
Well, you know what? I don't move around a lot when I go to the Super Bowl. I do Radio Row. I'm fortunate I go to the game. But, so I haven't done a lot other than be in Mandalay Bay.
Hey, it's a lot to do here.
Yeah, it's big. It's a lot of walking.
Oh, man.
A lot of walking.
We catch you every week on One Bills Live, and everybody who watches the Real Deal Sports Show already know we expected to be here.
Right,
We expected to be here at the Super Bowl. So, can you tell me about the Bills season? And obviously, it came to an end, but what's some positives that we can look forward to for next season, in your opinion?
I mean, look, the Bills have been a very good team for, the last number of years. Obviously 2022 was an odd season because of DeMar Hamlin.
Yes.
I spoke to people who said that by the end of the year they were just, emotionally and mentally beat. And no one was surprised by what happened in the playoffs. This year, when you lose a game like that to the Chiefs, that's just one of those games that could go either way. So it's really hard. I think people can overreact to those kinds of games. I mean, you're dealing with a good team. I think they have some things that they've got to address, as all teams do. But, for the most part, they've been a really competitive team that I think most people would believe in any given season, as long as Josh Allen is the quarterback, that they have a legitimate chance to get to a big game. And, we'll see, what the future holds. But, they're a solid football team. But I do think there are some things that need to be addressed.
Absolutely. And when I look at this, you talk about last year, the storm, literally and figuratively, you had the snowstorm, Dawson Knox, obviously his brother, Miss Pagula, DeMar. It was just like a tundra of myriad of things. And then coming into this season, the monkey was on their back, and then they was able to overcome that, finish the season with 6 straight wins after going 6-6.
Yep.
And then the bright spots on the Bills. Talk to me a little bit about James Cook, Osiris Torrance, second-round pick, and then Dalton Kincaid. How bright, and of course Joe Brady. That's the shining light. How is this young offense, going to flow next season?
Well, it's going to be an interesting thing because I think that they're going to have to get better at wide receiver. I'm really curious to see what they do. They don't truly have a number one wide receiver. Diggs is not that guy.
Man, you going to do that to him?
He's not the guy. I'm just telling you what the film tells you. I'm just telling you what the film shows. They're going to need to get some verticality in their pass game.
More speed element.
Speed or size, in my opinion?
Both.
Speed and size.
Yeah, both speed and size. And, I think Kincaid's going to be a really good player.
Oh, yeah.
You'd like to think that with Brady coming back that they'll expand his role even more.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've got a really nice slot guy in Shakir. He's a player I really like coming out of Boise State. I think he's a really nice piece.
Absolutely.
Cook's an intriguing player. He's a really good player. He's not a foundation back in a strict sense. Like, you're not going to build your offense around him, but they wouldn't do that anyway because of Josh Allen. So they're going to need more weapons on the perimeter. They're going to need more outside that can stretch defenses, that can be consistent week to week. Gabe Davis was not that guy. He's likely to be gone anyway. He's a free agent. So they're going to have to address that because you don't want Allen's prime years to go by where they don't really have weapons on the perimeter. Torrance had a really nice year at right guard. He's a good player. Their O-line was solid.
So together all season.
Yeah, there's things to work with, but they have to get more outside. I mean, if they don't do that, the offense is too condensed.
And talk to me about the defense. A lot of key pieces expected to be gone next season. The whole secondary, really, with Tre'Davious White and both of the safeties. DeMar Hamlin, also a free agent, probably won't be back, in my opinion. So tell me, what moves can they make on defense?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because, they're going to have to address the safety position, right? Because it's very possible both those guys are gone. So they could need to address the safety position because that's a really important position, particularly in the Sean McDermott defense. I think they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do at the linebacker position opposite Bernard, who had a really, really good season. They may need to look at pass rush because even though they had a lot of sacks this year, Von Miller, I don't know if you count on Von Miller at this point in his career.
Is a free agent.
Right, so they're going to need some edge pass rush. They're going to need a player that that can win and that the opponent has to account for. So there are things they have to deal with, and I don't follow the cap stuff, but my guess is they're probably a little tight. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, how they go about the draft.
Steve, man, we can't wait to get you back. I know you do One Bills Live, but thanks for stopping here at the Real Deal Sports Show, and we much appreciate it, Steve. And we got another question,
Mr. Cosell.
Right,
My question is, I'm a football traditionalist.
Right.
I grew up with, as you say, your uncle, Mr. Howard Cosell, Frank Gifford, and Dandy Don Meredith. What was it like for you back in those days when it wasn't as big and as wasn't as much media involved in football? The game and how it was broadcast was different. What type of changes have you seen through then and now?
I mean, obviously, back then you didn't have anything like you have now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, the number of channels on TV, with social media, which has changed everything. But when you're living in a specific time, you're just living in that time.
Yeah.
That's the way it was back then. Obviously back then Monday Night Football was big because there were no other games other than on Sundays.
Right.
So Monday Night Football was big. Now it's the world's changed, so you just have to go along with the changes. You have no choice, really.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way it is. And there's good to bad to it all, obviously, as in most things. So it just. I didn't, when I was growing up, I mean, obviously, I went to high school and college in the 70s, so, the world was a totally different place.
And of course, my last question is this: are you surprised at all that the Bills decided that the Pagulas decided to keep Coach McDermott, or did you think a change was necessary?
He's a good coach.
No, I mean, I think there's, and this is one thing about social media, there's knee-jerk reactions to everything.
Yes.
I mean, you can be on Twitter watching a game, and everybody, on every play, they decide, what social media has done is it's made people think that they know things they know nothing about.
That's true.
And I sit there on Twitter sometimes when I'm watching Red Zone at home on Sundays, and every single play somebody says, "Oh, terrible game plan, terrible play call." They know nothing about either one of those things.
Haven't read the playbook.
They don't know anything about either one of those things.
Very true.
And they
Very
just
true.
comment on it.
Wow.
And because they're in the business, people think they know what they're talking about. And it's just. Yeah, a lot of people when I do shows ask me about play calls and game plans. I said, you know what? I'm not in the building all week, so I can't speak to that. No coach does anything on a whim. It's all planned. It's all pre-planned. So unless you're in the building, in the meeting rooms, to comment on things you don't know about, I find fascinating.
The great Greg Cosell, thank you so much for joining us on Real Deal Sports Show.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Man, your family's a legend in the business, man. Thank you, man.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right.
We'll be catching you next season.
All righty.
We'll be in the press box next season.
That's right. We'll see. You never know. That's why they play every season.
Exactly.